All right, let's talk about a silent arms race, one that's happening right now in the hidden corners of the internet. And look, this isn't just a story about another cyber attack. It's about this incredibly rapid AI-driven evolution where the attackers are getting smarter, stealthier, and just way more dangerous with every single iteration.
This quote right here, it perfectly captures the entire terrifying leap we're about to break down. See, the first generation of these AI attackers, they were noisy. They basically kicked down the digital front door, setting off every alarm imaginable. But the next generation, well, they learned how to pick the lock. They learned to walk in quietly, wearing a friendly face, maybe even grab a cup of coffee. They learned to look like just another employee.
And that really is the central question for us today. What happens when it's not about hiding anymore, but about blending in so perfectly that our own security systems can't tell the difference between a friend and a foe? This is the story of how attackers are weaponizing normalcy itself.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Round 1, GTG 1002. You should think of this as the first generation AI attacker. It was incredibly powerful, super fast, but subtle? Nope, not at all. This thing was a digital brute, plain and simple.
So how did it work? Well, the architecture was brutally straightforward. At the top, you've got an AI brain, a large language model, or LLM, kind of like the tech behind ChatGPT, acting as the mission commander. And from there, it would direct this whole army of external servers to do all the dirty work, scanning, probing, and attacking targets at a speed that no human team could even dream of matching.
But here's the key, its fatal flaw. GTG 1002 gave itself away because it was just so incredibly loud. It was hammering networks with these massive port scans, which is basically the digital version of running down a street and rattling every single doorknob. It was exploiting known vulnerabilities, or CVEs, which are publicly documented software flaws. Every single action it took was a giant flashing red flag, a noisy signature practically screaming, "Hey, I'm an attack."
And all that noise, well, it led to a pretty inevitable response. The defenders built a wall and they called it AutoBlue. It was this AI-powered defense system designed for one single purpose: to listen for the specific sounds of a GTG 1002 attack. It tracked the tool usage, the scan patterns, all that network chatter. And for a moment, it really seemed like the defense had finally caught up.
Which brings us to round 2. And this is where the attacker gets really smart. GTG 1003 learned from all of its predecessors' noisy mistakes. It saw that wall the defenders built, and instead of trying to knock it down, it just figured out how to become invisible and walk right through it. Now, this represents a fundamental shift in philosophy. GTG 1002 was all about breaking in. GTG 1003's goal is way more subtle. It just wants to log in. It doesn't want to be an intruder, it wants to be an insider. And it does this using a technique called living off the land. This is both brilliant and, frankly, terrifying. Instead of bringing its own suspicious hacking tools, the AI uses the victim's own perfectly legitimate software that's already there. And this is a total game changer, because for years, cyber defense was about building a perimeter, keeping bad guys out. Living off the land exploits the new reality that in the cloud, the battleground isn't the firewall anymore. It's identity. It's all about who has the keys.
The attack cycle is just a masterclass in stealth. First, it gets a real key, a valid credential, like an OAuth token. Then, instead of all that noisy scanning, it just quietly reads internal documents and logs to map out the system. It even uses dry run commands to test its permissions without actually triggering any alerts. And when it's time to steal data, it just disguises the theft to look like a completely routine, scheduled backup.
And the result of all this? AutoBlue, that fancy defense system built to detect the loud, clumsy attacker, is now completely blind. It's still listening for the sound of a burglar breaking a window, while GTG 1003 is already inside, making a cup of coffee in the kitchen.
But the evolution doesn't stop there. This brings us to round 3, the climax. And this represents the most profound, most unsettling leap yet. The attacker's no longer content with just hiding. Now, it wants to subvert the defender's perception of reality itself.
Just think about that for a second. The target is no longer your data or your servers. The new target is the AI brain that's supposed to be protecting you. GTG 1004 weaponizes the field of adversarial machine learning to corrupt the defensive model from the inside out.
It does this using a very patient strategy called the boiling frog protocol.
Over a period of weeks, it slowly injects tiny, slightly unusual, but technically harmless activities into the network. And day by day, it teaches the defensive AI that this strange new behavior is actually the new normal. It's slowly, methodically, just raising the temperature.
And the end result is chilling. As you can see here, an activity that would have previously triggered a massive red alert, say a database sync at 2 in the morning, is now seen by the poison model as perfectly normal. The defense has been taught to ignore the very signals it was designed to detect.
So at this point, the defense system has become an unwitting accomplice. It isn't just blind, it is actively helping the attacker by reassuring everyone that all this malicious activity is completely safe. The guard dog has been trained to welcome the burglar.
So where does all this leave us? I mean, we've gone from a noisy brute force attack to a silent imposter and finally to a cognitive saboteur. This is no longer just a war for data. This is a war for reality itself.
And this table really lays out the entire journey. You start with GTG 1002, the brute force scanner with all its network noise. That gets shut down by network-based detection. So the attacker evolves into GTG 1003 using identity abuse and legitimate API calls to evade that. The defenders respond with anomaly detection. So the attacker evolves again to GTG 1004, which poisons the AI model with what looks like harmless statistical drift. Each step is a direct, intelligent response to the last generation of defense.
And that right there brings us to the ultimate takeaway. This is the very heart of the new paradigm. The fight has moved from the ports and protocols of the network to the weights and biases of the algorithm that's designed to protect it.
And so we end here with a deeply, deeply unsettling question. In this new era of AI on AI warfare, if the very systems we build to define and detect threats can be taught that a full-blown attack is just another Tuesday, then how do we ever know what's truly real?